Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crypto Scene Investigation, where we have a look at various cryptocurrency projects and we ask ourselves, is this going to be worth investing in? Today we'll be looking at a project called DERO. Now, if you guys like what I do on this channel, please consider liking and subscribing, and also if you enjoy the video, please do comment and be like, hey, this is great, thank you for the content. If you don't like what I do in this video, or you feel like I've misrepresented some truth, or maybe you disagree with what I say, you're also very welcome to comment as well, but I would appreciate it if you would be kind in the comments. But also, yeah, if you want to be constructive, that'd be awesome as well, because we all want to sort of try to be factual and all that sort of jazz. Anyway, yeah. And one other little piece of information is that this should not be considered as financial advice. It should only be taken for entertainment, inspirational, and educational purposes. Today, we'll be looking at DERO. Now, this one is a bit interesting compared to the usual ones which we look at. So, this one is a coin. Most things which we usually look at are tokens, but this one is an actual coin. So, it's currently 420, and its market cap is under 100 million, which means that it's pretty heckin' low. So it says that its max supply is 18.4 million. However, I do believe that is being increased to 20.4 million according to their new sort of Stargate mainnet launch, I believe. Or yeah, because I believe that the testnet is working, but they're going to be having a mainnet launch. So if we have a look at the sort of previous timeline of this project, we were sitting at about $4, then we dropped all the way down to 0.2, and then had that little hill right there in 2018. And then one of our lowest points was about, so 0.2 something. And then it bumped up all the way to about $25, or over 25, which is massive. That'll be massive returns. And we're currently sort of on the lower downside at the moment, but I'm not really too scared about that, to be honest. From what I have seen and read about this project, at first when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this kind of seems pretty lame, to be honest. Like it's not really going to do much. But then after looking into it a bit more, I was like, actually, these guys are like they're kind of doing things which other projects do not do. So you can currently buy this on KuCoin, TradeOrder, CoinX, Vitex, and there's probably a bunch of other markets which you can get it on. Hotbit and Stix, yeah. So KuCoin, definitely like KuCoin. So I do have a link in my description if you did want to sign up to KuCoin. Because KuCoin is fabulous, 10 out of 10. So essentially these guys are making their own, so this is their own ecosystem, which is why we don't actually have a little smart contract thing, and we can't check the BSC check stats or the token stats with that neither. So, what is DERO? DERO is the first crypto project to combine a proof-of-work blockchain with a DAG block structure and wholly anonymous transactions. It aims to be a revolutionary improvement from existing privacy coins like Monero, XMR, or Zcash, ZEC. DERO intends to do that by combining the best of both consensus mechanisms. Now, something which we're quite interested in now is what makes DERO unique. DERO was developed from scratch to support millions of users with enhanced reliability, privacy, security, and usability. It followed a build it and they will come approach, in the sense that the team focus on designing working technology first before focusing on marketing, which I think is really cool, because I know from what I've seen, these guys really haven't done much marketing, and they definitely have been focusing more on the sort of technology side of it, especially when you have a look on GitHub, because this is an open source project, which pretty much like you can build on, like you can build metaverse and NFT projects and stuff like that on this as usual. So I think that's really cool. One of its key features is the utilization of CryptoNote, a protocol that conceals the sender and receiver of a transaction, protecting the identity of all parties involved and ensuring privacy. We will have a look a little bit deeper into that soon. It is also the first blockchain to have complete SSL in the peer-to-peer layer, which That is the first blockchain to do that. That's pretty impressive. This encrypts all its network traffic and conceals it from the internet service providers wishing to analyze the traffic. So yeah, and there's some other details if you want to read. You're welcome to sort of pause and read, but it's pretty impressive from what I've actually seen so far about it. Not gonna lie, it definitely is coming across as quite impressive. So we'll have a look at some social stats, and then we'll get into some of the nitty gritty soon. Yeah, so social stats. So this is the Reddit stats, which we can have a look at. So we currently have 1,700 subscribers, and they've had a bit of a sort of slow and steady growth, gaining a little bit more traction, so that's quite nice. And then we have comments per day, which, I mean, we can see that it's actually quite high there. And then posts per day, and then they had that one day, December 14th, where they had a bunch of posts that day, which I'm assuming December 14th, that was this day. So they kind of had like a bit of a dip all the way sort of down from $25. So they're probably like, oh my gosh, this project is gonna drop and die. But maybe not. I'm not exactly sure what sort of happened on December 24th. If anybody knows, feel free to comment that as well. So the community seems pretty active, to be honest. A bunch of people, it seems like most of the guys who are in the community, guys and gals, mostly people who are quite technically savvy, which I think is quite neat, quite interesting. These guys are definitely more smarter than I am, so yeah. If there's any DERO maxis in the comments, please do not hate for my lack of understanding. So yeah, so this is their Twitter stats. They've only got 9,000 followers, which is very small. So I think that this project is currently extremely small in terms of its actual social analytics. I mean, only 1,000 subscribers. I think maybe on Discord they have like 4,000 members or something. So yeah, very, very, very small. And I don't think there's really been any sort of giant market news which has really sort of pumped up the price. I mean, usually they'll have like sort of news thing here, but as you can see, there's like nothing. But remember, I don't think that this is a bad thing, which I said we'll continue looking into. So they've had 380 extra followers in the last 30 days, which is what, like almost 1/10 of 9,500. Maybe it is 1/10, maybe more or less. Yeah. So as I say, marketing is not one of their focuses for these guys, and we did actually read that from the actual description on there. Yeah, these, from what I know, I haven't seen any sort of like bot comments or things where it's like, yes, to the moon, bro, to the moon. So the scam. Cool. So this is talking about the DERO Stargate release. Private tokens on DERO network can be issued and swapped to native DERO in 20 lines of code. So it's quite interesting. Pipe down. Sorry. Yeah, so from what I have seen / heard about it, it is quite impressive. This is one picture, so about DERO's upcoming Stargate platform. So DERO's upcoming Stargate platform is Layer 1 private, or L1 private, and is the world's first massively decentralized proof-of-work platform with HE account model, native asset support, subnetwork support, all without requiring specialized hardware or trusted setups. So yeah, as you can see, this is a conventional blockchain protocol, and this is the DERO homomorphic encryption blockchain protocol, or DHEBP. Yeah, I did look a little bit into homomorphic encryption. It's pretty fascinating, man. Yeah, there's some pretty nifty videos on YouTube describing it. But yeah, so essentially, because I was sort of chatting to some of the guys on Discord about this, or one of the guys, and he was stating that one of the reasons why DERO is so attractive is because like other sort of blockchains, they kind of like almost like give you or lend you the coins, but DERO, like, you actually get to have it. It's much more complex than what I just said. Like, what I just said is like probably incredibly wrong. But it's something along those lines. So it's like a yeah, you actually own your assets. It's very different. I'm not exactly sure how to sort of describe that kind of jazz. As you can see, there has been a bunch of research as well, which yeah, I mean, if we are to go and open this in a private window and we briefly type in DERO, I mean, I'm sure it's probably been something else before here. I mean, looks like it's been bike racks, and there's some definition apparently. A DERO is a tramp or a derelict. So yeah. So that's probably what it has been a little bit researched. It's interesting. I don't know where they got the name from. But yes, that's pretty fascinating. Now this is their blockchain. Now the thing with their blockchain, and this is something which is really important, which is why I have it sort of closer to the Google Trends chart. But by the way, in the sort of Google Trends chart, it's had one of its peaks in September. So that's within the last 12 months, and within the last 90 days, we've had a peak, which sat around January 14th, and in the last 30 days, there'll probably also be similar, the 4th of January. So yeah, which is kind of surprising how look, 14th is now 9, and it was like the biggest in the 90 days. So yeah. Don't trust everything you see on the internet, kids. Yeah. So anyway, this is their blockchain, and this is fascinating. So their blockchain, so these guys are mega focused on privacy. So like, you can't just so you can't see their rich list. So things which we don't have, we don't know who the devs are. Well, I mean, you can chat to the dev on like Discord or whatever, or you can chat to them. They do have contact details on their website, for where you can message them or email them or what have you. Yeah, so you can do that sort of jazz, and you can, like, become a part of their mailing list and all that sort of jazz. But in terms of the actual information which you can see and receive, there's really not much. You can see that a transaction was made, but they won't tell you how much it was, or any sort of hefty details, unless of course maybe they want you to see that sort of thing. But yeah, from what I understand, they probably don't. So you're just sort of stuck with whatever, really. Yeah. So you can have a look at all of those 810,000 pages worth of transactions if you really want. And then yeah. So anyway, we'll move on from that. I personally, when I first heard about that, I was like, oh, that's iffy, man. It just feels like... So one of the questions which I asked, or which I also asked myself, was, how do we know that, they can't rug pull us, right? How do we know that they can't just go and take all of our, like, tokens away, right? But that's the thing, is that these guys aren't a token. These guys are a coin. So these actually belong straight to the blockchain. So we can't get rug pulled, which is incredible. What the heck, man? Like, it's trippy as. At least I don't think we can, judging by what we've actually seen. So it's been created from scratch, a new decentralized DAG blockchain, secure private smart contract, so you can also do the whole smart contract thing on the ledger. Hopefully I'm using the right terminology. Fast transactions, privacy by design, a bunch of other things, fully encrypted blockchain. So this is pretty much a part of their tokenomics, regarding monthly emission versus circulating supply. And so they sort of talk about it a little bit here, but some of these stats are not going to be present within probably the next week, because they are being updated to the Stargate system. So it's I think it's I'm going to use the word in-house for lack of a better word. And so we can actually see a little bit of what's happening with it. So the homomorphic account based model, and it's got a few other things: deniability, no more chain scanning or wallet scanning to detect funds, no key images. So they sort of talk about like a few extra things. So some of these may already be present on within the current protocol, but these might also be, so some of these might actually be new as well. So testnet release with source code. So so they've got a few things here regarding these things, and the mainnet, I believe, will be released in the next few days. If anybody has any extra information which they do want to share about that, you are very welcome to comment that as well, because we are based on spreading and preaching the truth of projects. So so I will be transparent and say I haven't read through all of this jazz because a bunch of it is quite technical. We're just sort of mainly looking at a bunch of the sort of base features of what this actually can provide for us. So this is an asset standard comparison, and this is essentially, so we can compare DERO to Ethereum to Cardano. We can sort of see a few details. So we can see code lines. Cardano's one is not standardized. And we can also ask a few other questions, which are contract not required to transfer, tick, not tick, tick. Can be used by other smart contracts without special support, tick, no tick, tick. So as you can see, so there's a few things which, I mean, Ethereum is missing, but there's also other things which Cardano is probably still working on as well. So this is in regards to the asset itself. One thing which is quite interesting is it says supports private assets. So in other words, like pretty much you can't, like you don't have, other people won't be able to have natural access to that if you don't allow them to sort of see that kind of thing, from what I understand. So supports verified asset burn functionality, not via burn addresses. So it's quite neat in and of itself. And then we have a look at the platform comparison. So this one's a little bit harder to see. So what I'll do that so that we can actually read it a little bit better. Actually, maybe I can. No, we'll go out one. So these are the platform features, comparison layer 1 only. I did ask about why it was comparing only the layer 1s, because that was a little bit like but apparently one of the reasons for that is because layer 2 from the actual wording itself is kind of I don't know how to word it really. So it's sorry guys, but it's somehow better to focus on layer 1, because when you go to layer 2, you are actually losing extra bits of, or you are sacrificing security for scalability slash I was going to say decentralization. So when we have a look at some of these details, smart contract programming language, DVM basic, and we can see some of these others for there. Consensus model used, so the proof of work pending POS and ETH 2.0, which has already happened, and also POS. And then, so they do a few other details as well. So they say not yet supported, so pending sharding and ETH 2.0, which I believe that has already been released as well. I don't really keep up to date much with ETH, to be honest. I kind of like to refuse to touch that because it's ETH without sounding too bad. And I think that there are much better protocols out there, in my opinion. So what else can we see? Yes, we can see chain scanning not required, complete and chain state proofs remain intact when blockchain is pruned. So for those who are more technically savvy, you will understand some of these details. For those who aren't, then this is probably just a bit of useless info. So this is one of the conversations which happened on the Discord community. So this conversation was regarding, I guess, essentially what is, like, kind of like another way of describing what is better about DERO compared to, you know, Ethereum and Cardano and all that sort of jazz. So I'm not going to read these out, but I can give you sort of the baseline of them. So essentially you are going to actually own what is there. So on DERO, you literally have the native assets. So you can choose to, you know, use them. So you can do that. I'm just gonna say pause the video and just read these because it's fascinating. Yep, cool. Next one. I'm not gonna read this sort of jazz out. Cool, great. I hope that helped. So here is my conclusion. Here's my thoughts from what we have seen. I personally think, I mean, remember, I'm not sponsored or anything because, I mean, nobody really knows who these guys are, but I think I'm actually going to be personally investing in these dudes there, because remember, these guys are a coin, not just a token. These guys are a coin. So we are talking like a big part of the infrastructure for the future when it comes to DeFi. And I mean, you've got a bunch of very knowledgeable guys working on it. Because you can just sort of, I mean, pretty much everything you can see on the GitHub, itself, especially with it being open source. And I didn't actually, it's interesting, I didn't actually see a white paper, dude, now that I think about it. Sorry, no, so the white paper is, I'll see if I can grab it so that you guys can briefly see it. Well, actually, we'll briefly have a look at their roadmap. So one thing which is a bit disappointing is how it does sort of end at 2021 on their website. However, with that being said, they have been working on the Stargate details as well. So these are some of the actual blockchain statistics, by the way. So feel free to sort of pause and read through those. Yoink. And so they talk a little bit about their journey. They also sort of show what it would look like. So a comparison of network data captured from light wallets. So on the DERO protocol, pretty much like fully encrypted and without encryption, you can actually see/read a bunch / some of the words within that as well. So that's one of the differences as well. So secured P2P network, we know about that. But they do actually have a sort of white paperish thingy. But I think we will probably skip past that. So anyway, my extra thoughts about the project are, I think it will be a great decision to invest in this, to be honest. I'm personally going to. Not saying that you should, but I think I've personally kind of been convinced by the fact that these guys, I mean, number one, good community, number two, literally a pretty big system or a pretty big idea in the whole entire idea of things when it comes to some of this jazz. I don't really like the fact that we can't see all the transactions of everybody, because it would be nice to be able to sort of identify / see a rich list. So it can make it harder in some degrees. I think buy the coin would be my personal sort of jazz on it. But remember, never financial advice, right? Anyway, guys, that's my video. Thank you for watching. Hope that you enjoyed it. We got a Patreon. Please consider liking and subscribing, but also joining the Patreon, and you can get like early access to videos and stuff, because I usually schedule videos fairly well.